exciting recipe because it's one of my favorite and I'm really glad to share it. I found it online, I tweaked it a little bit slightly, and I'm here to bring it to you. Again, if you're just joining us, my name is Jillian. I'm a chef from Sabrosa Vegana, but I'm also one of the organizers of Black Veg Fest, and I'm glad today to bring to you a recipe. Um, well, I have two recipes, and these are really interchangeable. You can mix the main ingredient if you'd like. We're gonna do sweet potato today, and I usually do this with pumpkin um, and sweet potato. Like you could do it with whatever vegetable, or but this is it's this really good recipe. You're gonna enjoy this. So thank you for joining, and let's get into it. All right, because it's a lot. Okay, so today it's pumpkin pie and sweet potato cheesecake. And why I chose this cheesecake is because I like the lightness and the creaminess of the cheesecake with the potato and or the pumpkin. It's actually doesn't over it's like there's no overpowering flavor here when it comes to like the sweet potato, which is why I used to not like pumpkin pies before because it used to be so overpowering. But this is a really good mix between cheesecake and pumpkin pie. And you get like that creaminess with the flavor that you are looking for. So, that being said, let's start with the main star of the ingredient, which is the sweet potato. I just boiled them with the skin on because it's easy to cut open afterwards. The skin just comes right off, you see? So if you obviously wash the sweet potato really well, and then you boil it, and then the skin, you just score the skin after it's boiled, let it cool down, and look, comes right off. Okay? So we have sweet potatoes just like that, all right? I'll show you again in a second. Let's set up the camera. I'm gonna pan it down just slightly so you could see everything, and we have some more sweet potatoes here. It doesn't take a lot of sweet potatoes to make this pie, and we're gonna have it vegan with even the cream cheese factor. So let me just scoop this down slightly. Yeah, like that. Okay. By the way, just a really quick plug over here. You can see we have our Black Veg Fest cups. You can find that online at blackvegfest.org. Let me take some as I'm talking like a million miles per hour. Okay. Now, the main ingredient. Now, so when we're making this pie, I like the creaminess. So it depends. You can use a blender, you can use a food processor, you can use a mixer, as long as you get that creaminess. And I like to start with putting the cream cheese. And all this recipe, by the way, is going to be online at the Black Veg Fest Instagram and or the website. Eventually, we're gonna get all of the recipes on there, like an index. But for now, catch it on Instagram. Okay. So in the meanwhile, I'm gonna open this up. We're gonna put the mixer in there. Like I said, you can use a blender, you can use anything. I'm gonna start mixing this, and then we'll talk about the crust, okay? Because the crust is important, and it's actually one of the important parts as well when you're making any pie, right? The crust. Um, so let's put the cream cheese first. All right. So I use Tafuri cream cheese. I like it because the recipe she has tested out. The woman I saw this online, this Gretchen's Bakery, by the way. I'll shout it out. And I saw that she used this, and I used other ones before, but I go back to this one because it really does take on. It doesn't have like an over cream cheese flavor, but it has creamy enough where it doesn't. You don't taste any soy or things like that. So I'm gonna put two whole ones in this. Let's just open this up, and next time would have it more easier, but this is gonna go fast. This doesn't take a whole hour to even make. This is a really easy recipe. And usually, I mean, you would put eggs in this type of recipe. Hold on, let's see. All right, comes clean off, just like that. One whole one and a second one. And you can find this in your nearest supermarket. I've seen this everywhere. I got this at Food Bazaar in Brooklyn. So you can find this a lot of places now. It's not like, mostly supermarkets, not, and okay, let's put this here. However, I did Didn't see it in Associated. And I think, a lot of these managers, if you are new to being vegan and you don't see a product on your shelf, go to the person that orders. They're really usually open to listening to be like, okay, can you put this on here? I'm vegan. I see you have vegan stuff, but I don't see this cream cheese that I use. And they'll generally have it and they'll try to do it. If they're smart, right? If they're smart. Okay, so we have the cream cheese in there. I'm going to put more of the sweet potatoes. Okay, remember, look, I'm scoring the sweet potato with the skin. Any question? Yes, vegan cream cheese. This is vegan cream cheese. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read the questions. If you have any questions, just hit it up. Send it on the chat and I'll try to answer it. So I just scored the skin after it's boiled and it just comes right off. Okay? And I'm gonna put this in here too. Make sure you don't see any it's kind of hot still, if you can see the heat coming off of there. All right, I'm going to put about a cup, but this is going to be, I wanted it really sweet potato, so I'm going to put like a cup and a half. Actually, I would put a cup and a half. I'm going to put all this. Why not? Okay, score it. It comes right off. And I'm going to put it right in there. Okay, so while this is on low, I'm going to talk about the crust real quick, because I change up the crust depending on my mood. It doesn't even, you can do the crust yourself, which I'm going to show you now. Or you can buy the crust. A lot of the crusts are generally, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, a lot of the crusts are generally vegan now, and that's because these companies are doing shortcuts. What I mean by that? One second. Let me look for the crust paper. So this crust, it's Pillsbury. Okay, here we go. This crust is Pillsbury. And if you can see on the back, all right, so meanwhile, our cream cheese and our sweet potatoes are blending, right? We're getting creaminess. If you can see on the back of here, it's just wheat ingredients here. Contains wheat. And there's a lot of, oh no, this one has hydrogenated lard. Look at that. Always read the instructions. Good. I'm going to make it myself. So look at this. It says lard. Even though here it says wheat, and you would think, okay, no milk, no eggs, right? But look, hydrogenated lard. That means their shortening is not vegetable shortening. Their shortening is pork shortening, and we don't want that at all. So we're going to make our own, and I'm going to show you right now. I like to use, for this, Nabisco graham cracker crusting. Now, they have crust for this. They have, like, pre-made crust for Nabisco, and I'm not judging you if you want to do that. But, hey, it's really easy to find this. Try to make sure it's not honey, because the honey is obviously not vegan. So this is the original, and we'll go again to the ingredients. Always double checking, of course, and has no, okay? Yeah, man. Look, yeah, it happens it's so funny because sometimes we look at the allergy ingredients and automatically, oh, no eggs, no milk. Okay. But they still put fish, anchovy, lard, a lot of these animal ingredients in the ingredients, and those are not going to be allergen, sometimes flagged as bold lettering. So we still have to be so vigilant. It's crazy, right? Yeah, animal ingredients can get so sneaky. So what we're going to do is take our graham cracker crust. We're going to crumble it up. And for the sake of time, and because I want to show you the actual, how the pie's made, we're going to just like show you how this is made, but not like make it. So we're going to take this graham cracker crust, right? And we're going to melt some vegan butter. Okay, graham cracker crust, melt your vegan butter and sugar. Then you put that in a food processor, a blender, and boom, you have your vegan crust. You could take this off and, well, obviously you put it in one of these these pans and you pat it down, because the butter, or you can use coconut oil, okay? You don't have to use vegan butter. You can use coconut oil. Anything that's going to create that adhesiveness to the graham cracker and the sugar, and able to give you that crust. Then you're gonna put it in the oven for 375 degrees for 7 minutes or so, and that's good to go whenever you want. Put your your pie, filling inside, and you're good to go in the oven. Speaking of pie filling, I'm gonna zoom in to show you that, and we're gonna put more ingredients so we can put the next steps. I'm gonna turn this off. I feel like I'm like screaming over the mixer. Okay, so now, oh, so real quick, before we continue, I want to show you the different ways when we can do these types of pies. Now, I did sweet potato, right? But we can do pumpkin. We can do pumpkin from the actual pumpkin. They sell these for like $4, or you can buy the whole one, scoop it out yourself. We're gonna cube it up, and obviously you're gonna take the skin off, and like you could just shave it off, boil it up, and then you have your cup of fresh pumpkin. Or you could buy it at the supermarket because I have that too. Like, if you don't want to, like, honestly, it's $1, $2 depending on what it is. I Yeah, this is really good. Like, you can put fresh ingredients. It's so easy to do. Now let's see. Sweet potato, fresh. Try to put the sweet potato. I think that's easy to do. I know they sell sweet potato in a can, but these are really affordable type of vegetables. It's actually cheaper too, I think, to have it fresh. All right, so we could usually use the pumpkin. All right, now let's continue to do the next steps here. All right. So now, egg replacers. Let's talk about egg replacers. For this, generally, I would use an egg replacer like this in the supermarket, you can see. But this recipe doesn't need it. The recipe online was revised, and I was like, oh wow, we could just use cornstarch. If you don't want to use cornstarch, you can use this. There's different alternatives to these egg replacers. And it's just really a binder, because that's what this needs, as well as it just gives it a little fluffiness, more fluffiness. So I'm gonna put 5 tablespoons. Let's lift this up. I'm gonna try to get you to. I'm gonna zoom it in, and also another egg replacer in this one that I'm going to put is there we go. Can you see it a little better there? Yeah. Okay. Another egg replacer is silken tofu, which we're gonna put as well. Okay. So we're gonna just put a quarter of this, and I'll show you how that looks in 1 second. Let me put the 5. And I learned from experience, don't have the machine on when you're doing this part, because it will it will kind of like go everywhere. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I don't need any more because I'm gonna put some silken tofu. It's a really good egg replacer. It kind of looks like egg, right? Look at that, right? So we're gonna take I would quarter it up by like dividing it into 4 and taking a piece, right? Chia seeds in water is good too, but because this is a pie consistency and you want that kind of pudding, I would maybe use something more where you don't have like a grainy texture to it. But there's also banana. You can do banana is a great milk alternative, and that's a really good one too to put in there for but it will taste a little like banana, so you just have to be careful of that. All right, next thing we're gonna put is sugar. I want this to get creamy, and the sugar now, the granulated sugar, is going to really give it that creaminess more. So I'm gonna put actually light sugar. I usually put brown sugar, but I'm gonna put light sugar today because I like to play with recipes as I'm live. Why not? So I tried it with brown sugar the other time, and now I'm gonna try with light. I'm gonna pour about a cup. Actually, I'm gonna try half a cup because I like to taste it first and then add more sugar. whatever the filling is going to taste like. I'm sorry, I'm gonna scoop down so you can see me. Whatever the filling that you taste at, like as you're cooking it, that's how it's gonna taste, in the oven. So you can adjust the sugar content if you like. I'm gonna start out with a little light sugar and then work my way up. So up sugar. Now this is the cheesecake portion. Now it's like now you're seeing how it's turning into. Oh my goodness, so good. Cheesecake. All right, so that's gonna start stirring. I'm gonna add just a little bit of milk. You can do any plant-based milk. That's the great part. We're gonna do about 3 tablespoons. And I'm gonna pour it over here because I'm trying not to make more of a mess. 2 and 3. And now we're gonna add some spices because we haven't added any spices yet. Now I would be careful on adding like a lot of spices like pumpkin spice because it'll just make the whole thing taste like pumpkin spice and we want it to taste like sweet potato. So I would avoid using stuff like this. You can use it if you want to put pumpkin in the pumpkin spice, but I mean, pumpkin in the as the main ingredient, but try to not put too much because I've done that mistake too. All right, so I'm just helping you to prevent mistakes. So we have cinnamon going in, obviously, and a little nutmeg and vanilla. Nutmeg. I have more precise. Don't worry. Recipe that's coming up for you. But this is I've been doing this recipe for. We're gonna put some vanilla. Now this is gonna taste like a real cheesecake. Now I wasn't even crazy about cheesecake before I was vegan, but I really love how light it is. It doesn't have like that dairy aftertaste that sometimes a lot of heavy dairy foods have. So this is such a great recipe for family and friends. Like when you want to just go and bring a pie and contribute to something, and they're like, "Oh, this is vegan," they would never know. You don't even have to say anything. So I'm gonna show you as I finish the final product, but just ignore the crust because as we discussed, the crust was wrong. So this one's gonna have the great crust with the Nabisco, right, and the butter and the oil. I have done it with the coconut oil. It tastes really good. I do like it with the buttery flavor as well, because the coconut, like it does come through sometimes. So you just have to know what you're working with when you're doing the filling to make sure that you're using the right oils and binder for the crust. All right, so this looks really creamy. Let's see if I'm missing any other ingredients as I clean up. We have our silken tofu as our egg replacer. We chose not to use this one. I'm gonna put a little salt because that always enhances the flavor. Okay. We put cornstarch as well as a binder, right? And these are really easy to get. Like, if you can't get those other egg replacers, you can get those kind of easy ones. What's in the vegan butter? So it's a lot of oils. That's all I can say. There's no dairy, there's no milk from here. So this one is the Country Crock vegan butter. A lot of them are vegan. You just have to check. I mean, when I say a lot, I say, there are a lot more coming out now that are vegan. And that's out of these companies. Let me turn this off. That's out of these companies doing it out of trying to cut corners. So they use a lot of hydrogenated oils and things like that. So if you do, I like to use Earth Balance as well. I feel like that's a good brand, but there's a lot of like oil, olive oil based, grapeseed oil based butters. Okay, so this is what the butter here is made from. Or you can, like I said, you can use coconut oil for the graham cracker crust. I really do recommend doing the crust yourself, even throwing some nuts in there, and then you can pat it down. It's so easy to make. It's so great. Okay, so I'm gonna test and taste this because it doesn't make sense for me to pour anything if I don't. Oh, it tastes good. That's good. Now, I put light brown sugar. You can put dark brown sugar, light brown sugar. You can put molasses. You can put any other type of You could put any other type of sweetener, honestly. Play around with these recipes. I'm going to give a base line of it, but honestly, when you try it. Now, I'm going to show you the final because we're pressed for time and my phone. But look at this. All right. Like I said, ignore the crust. Look at that. This is going to be baked for an hour. This, you have to put it 350 degrees for 1 hour. You're going to see it rise and fall. And it's just an amazing, like this part right here, if I cut it, it's still kind of hot. I don't want to cut it, but here. It's so delicious. Hold on, I'm gonna cut you a piece because this is the best part of a cooking show is seeing the final product, right? Let's see. We baked it for an hour. You're baking this for an hour. Now you can do a little less than an hour, but I recommend the hour, and it's gonna feel like have like a small crust on the top. But once you refrigerate it for another 4 hours or overnight, then you'll get that cream cheese. Okay. Let me cut a piece so you can see. It's stubborn right now. Okay. It's okay. Look at that. You see how creamy it is? It's supposed to cool down. All right, but I wanted to show you anyway so you could see. But when you let it cool down, it'll get firmer. This is not obviously firm because it's just came out the oven. But when you let it cool down, the cream cheese will form its really nice little like jello kind of looking or pudding type consistency on this one. Not too jello-y, but it does have a nice creamy look to it. So I really recommend you try this. Is there any questions? Hold on, I'm gonna zoom in closer so I can see everybody. Yeah, 350 for 1 hour. And we use the tofu cream cheese. So when you want to make like that cream cheese hybrid pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie, I use the cream cheese. Viola Life, I think it's just melts too fast. This doesn't melt too fast and it creates that consistency. So just be careful with the brands you're using. I know that sometimes they're not cheap. Like sometimes this is like $4 or $5. So to do one pie, actually, when you buy anything, it's going to be more than one pie when you make it. But you know, you need two of these, so at least it's like $4 or $5 each. So be aware of that. But it's so worth it, and I hope you try it. I have, oh my goodness, my percentage on my phone. But I want to take any more questions. Like I said, I'll be honest with you, I use the can because it's just so much faster when I'm like cooking for like Christmas and stuff. I'm gonna come back this way. When I'm cooking for Christmas, and I want to bring something, and I'm like, okay, I need to, I have a child. I'm a single mom. I'm like, all right, I'm doing presents. I'm gonna make this pie. You could use the can, okay? But if you have time, and sometimes I make with the pumpkin, and you make it fresh. You just need about a cup of the pumpkin pie to mix it. If you're doing pumpkin pie or more just sweet potato pie like straight without the cheesecake, you're going to have a higher ratio, obviously, of the pumpkin pie. And I will post that as well on the website. Okay. Um, yes. So if anyone has any questions, I'm willing to take any questions. Yes. No, this is really good for the holidays. I'm so serious. Like, I'm sharing this, and I usually sell this, and it sells out pretty fast because people taste it and they're like, "Oh, can I get another one? Oh, this is good." And because you would never guess that it doesn't have like vegan ingredients because it's just straight up like you're tasting sugar, you're tasting the pumpkin, you're tasting the cream cheese, slightly overtone in there. So honestly, this is really good for you to try um, for your family, your friends, even for yourself. Treat yourself. Make a pie. All right. So thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for next month. We have some really big announcements coming up for Thanksgiving, but we are calling it People's Harvest. So stay tuned for the People's Harvest. We have some food and event. We're gonna have a food we're gonna give out. So it's gonna be a really great event. Catch the news. We're gonna be posting it soon. Thank you for joining us. And one more thing. Hold on. You can't forget. Like I have to always plug these in because you're really missing out if you haven't got these in. Look, these are so good. And you're gonna be helping out the org. So I want to show you my pie afterwards, but look, it was so hot that, and look, you're not supposed to pull out the piece while it's hot, okay? But I tried to do it to show you guys, and look what I did. I didn't even follow my own rule, and look what happened. But it's okay. So for you, you know that you're gonna let the pie cool down, right? And then you're gonna serve it. Make sure you don't serve it hot because it's like a cheesecake. You have to let the ingredients, the cheesy, all that batter, kind of cool down and form. And I usually do it overnight. This is a really good thing. Put a little film of something to cover it so that it doesn't dry up too much in the fridge on the top because it does form like a little crust. And then enjoy your pie. So thank you again for joining us. I'm going to leave you for next time, and we're going to have some guest speakers coming up in November. So stay tuned. Thank you again for joining us for the podcast for Black Patch Breakout. Um, like I said, every Wednesday, 12 o'clock. All right. Take care.